Matthew chapter 17 verse 14 to the end of the chapter. Two sections in our reading, both miracles, both helping us to understand the true nature of faith. In the first miracle, Jesus heals a man's son, a boy who was having seizures, incredible suffering. And what's interesting about this encounter is that the man first brought his son to the disciples, but the disciples were unable to heal the boy. And actually, it seems that Jesus then rebukes the disciples for their unbelief, which seems a little bit harsh. But actually, what we've been seeing unfolding in our journey through Matthew's gospel is that Jesus is deliberately developing and training and deploying his disciples to do the very things that he's been doing, to imitate him. Jesus had commissioned them. Jesus had modelled something to them of how they use that authority, and as a result, he had expectations of them. So when Jesus then says it's because you did not have faith, that you need faith, even the faith the size of the mustard seed, my belief about that is this is far less than like getting more faith in the bank, a little bit like you might get more money in the bank, and if you just can get up to a certain level, then you can perform miracles, just about topping up your faith levels. No, I think faith here is far more about right identity and right authority that flows out of that understanding of who we are and who we represent. We then have this little debate about temple tax. Jesus paid taxes. Now, this 2 drachma tax was collected annually in the month before Passover. And interestingly, the rabbis and the priests were exempt from this tax. So Jesus was exempt from this tax, and yet he still paid it. But then there's this greater truth unfolding here that Jesus was exempt from the temple tax, not only because he was a priest, but also because he was a king. You know, kings don't pay tax. Kings are paid tax. And yet Jesus still paid taxes. And in the unfolding of this story and of this miracle of the fish, we see the unfolding of the gospel. You see, Jesus, the one who owed nothing, paid for another. He paid for Peter. The same on the cross. Jesus paid the price. He paid our price. Jesus, our King and our priest, paid so that we could rightly access the temple of his presence without cost. Spurgeon, the Baptist preacher, he said of this passage, he said something like this, that as a man, Christ pays, but as God's Son, he takes a coin from the royal treasury. Jesus has paid it all for us through the cross, through his work on the cross, and so our identity changes. We now have a royal priestly identity. We share in his identity. That means that the resources of heaven are there for your disposal. And if that does not cause your faith to rise today, to step out and to believe that God can do through you the things that he did through Jesus, with that delegated authority, well, I don't know what will encourage you to step out today. So I pray you'd have a great day, son, daughter of the King, and I pray you would step out to use that same faith and authority that Christ has gifted you with. Amen.